Welcome back to another episode of Health is Wealth. And thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode. And as always, I am beyond grateful and thankful from the bottom of my heart for each and every one of you who is tuning into today's episode and tuning into the podcast. And I hope it brings you value today. As week to week, I am just sharing thoughts that are going through my head on my own journey in life in hopes that it helps motivate you, inspire you, things that I'm just learning for the first time, maybe re-understanding from a different point of view. And again, hopefully you're able to take something from it if it brings you any kind of value. And if anything, just get a chance to know who I am and what mission I am on in life. And for this week's episode, what I wanted to talk to you about was it is time to change. And what I mean by this is I got this from Alex Hormozi. I was listening to a video clip of him talking about that. And what he was discussing, right, is that most people essentially are living the same year in and year out for 20, 30, maybe 40 plus years. Nothing ever seems to change. So although, the majority of people are going through life, it's really like they're living one year over and over repeatedly, doing the same thing, working at the same place, telling the same stories, talking about the same past. Nothing has absolutely changed. And it really makes me think a lot about this because for me, it's like, what is the point of life? If we are just going to do the same thing over and over and over again, never really experiencing our potential, the best of who we can be, experience the different things that there are in life to enjoy, trying new things, going new places, progressing and evolving throughout life to become a different person, And so I feel if you're the same person over and over and over and over again, then what truly is the point? But this is a reality that we face every day. And it does go through my head quite a bit. And that's why, if we don't change now, we don't take the time to snap out of it and wake up and realize that this is happening, and usually don't even realize how quick life is moving, that is actually happening to us. We're going to get to this point at the end of our life when we realize it's all over and look back and be like, what did we do for the last 30, 40 years, and realize that we did the same thing over and over and over again, and we weren't happy. Then we have to realize, what was the point of it all then? Again, I think about this a lot because as I work in the trade business, I see guys, especially older gentlemen who've been working, on a job site for many years, and, they're working in the same position that they probably did when they started, never really getting much more in seniority in a position, not really getting into a different spot within the company, still in the field doing the same old thing. And it made me realize, thinking about this from time to time, it's like, how many of these years did the person do the same thing over and over and over again? Wake up at the same time, have the same morning routine, make the same commute, go to the same place, do the same daily task, then go home, fight the commute home, do the same thing, go home, whatever, wake up, rinse and repeat. And that was their life for the last 30, 40 years, maybe never really doing much, experiencing more, and things like that. And, thinking about that, it's like for myself, I don't want that to be my life. I don't want to live the same year over and over and over again. I think living life is about experiencing it. It's about being in a different place next year than we are today in many different ways, right? In mentality wise, in beliefs, elevating ourselves, in life, financially, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, all of it, physically, and so forth. And so it really pushes me to want to change and do whatever I have to do to make those changes so that I don't end up in this bucket where most people are going to end up, where the next 30, 40 years are literally going to be spent doing the exact same, and nothing will change except maybe over the years become more miserable, become more unhappy, become more just like stuck and content, and never really have hope to get out of it. Don't even realize it's happened until they get to the end of their years and start looking back and like, what have I done with myself for the last 30, 40 years? So really, this is just a message of urgency to us all, that if we don't start taking initiative to change now, we are going to end up in a group of people that will exist and are existing 30 to 40 years from now, looking back and just wondering where time went, what we did with our lives, and really then realize that we did nothing but the same thing for years on years. And again, I just do not believe that that is the sum of how we're supposed to be enjoying life. And so this is to, again, hopefully urge the message to take action now. Start living above the standard. Start living above the norm and average, walking a different path, doing different things, so that every year starts to look a little bit different than the year before. So then by the time that we can get to, our older years, we can look back and be like, wow, that was a heck of a ride. We experienced so much. We grew so much. We did so much. We enjoyed so much. Life was an absolute adventure. That's the kind of story that I want to be able to look back on and be able to see, not like look back and be like, I did the same thing over and over and over again and absolutely nothing changed. But again, it takes thinking different. It takes walking a different path. It takes doing different things, because the average and norm of what people are doing is the same old, and that's why they get the same old outcome, living the same old life, which is why 5 to 10 years from now, you could expect the same old thing, And a lot of it, again, is just, the same routine, the same mindset, the same belief, talking about the same stories, talking with the same people, talking about the same past. And, for me, once again, it's like, what kind of life is that for us to live? And so every day it's motivation for me to start taking different actions, to continually start thinking different and changing my patterns and behavior and beliefs and mindset, and just knowing that that clock is ticking 24/7. And I don't want 5 years from now to go by and I'm exactly where I am today, because if so, I have to look at those years in between and be like, if I'm exactly where I am 5 years from now than I am today, then what did I do with those 5 years? How did I learn? How did I grow? How did I progress or evolve? If you're at the exact same place 5 years from now than you are today, you literally learned nothing from life. You didn't grow, and you lived the same year on repeat for the next few years. And for me, it's like, it's not the point of life. The point of life is going through the experiences of what it has to offer to change us, to mature us, to learn, to grow, to think differently 5 years from now than we are today. I have a different mindset I have today than 5 years ago. And I'm constantly looking for that growth year to year to year, because I know if a year from now, I'm exactly where I am this year with the same mindset, the same belief, taking the same actions, then that year to me was just an absolute waste and I learned nothing from it. So again, take action today. Today is the day that we need to start to change, or else nothing is ever going to change. And you're going to end up like the rest of people who are going to get to the end of the years realizing that they did nothing with their lives, didn't experiencing anything new, didn't become a new person, didn't evolve, and they just kind of stayed on this hamster wheel the entire time. And, for God to give us a gift of another day, the last thing we should want to waste it on is just not growing at all, not experiencing. There's so many amazing things in this world that we can do, experience, and it's a waste if God gave us that gift of another day to do the same exact thing today as we did yesterday, as we did a year ago, as we would, a few years from now if we do nothing to take action. So take action, change today.